Hello, everyone. It's Live at 5 Mondays with Cheryl Millett here. All things healthy, that's the idea. And if you're new, as they like to say, then just know we are going to talk about something new or something completely different or different, and then going to go into something current. Maybe it's news, maybe it's certain things, and then we're going to tell a couple of jokes or puns or something like that. And then a little treat tonight. Today I'm going to play a little harmonica. I just make it up. But the fun thing about the harmonica, it does seem that if you can just think of a tune, the harmonica is just, it's just going to play, I guess, if you tap your foot. Anyway, that's all I do. With the harmonica, I just blow it for the fun of it. I just play it, and actually there's a manifesting story about the harmonica, and I'm going to share that as well. I think I've mentioned my turkey story, but manifesting happened 3 times over the span of, I don't know, a few months, something like that. And the harmonica was number 3. You're probably curious, well, what's number 2? I love curious. I'm going to keep you curious. I'm going to keep you spent, and I will show you. I just don't have it out here today, but I'll actually show you that one. But I can show you the harmonica one and actually play it for the fun of it. So that's what we can do. So anyway, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Is there anybody on here? Say hello if you're on. For some reason with the new Facebook Live, and it's been a while, I don't get to see who's on here. Apparently you do, so that's great, but I don't get to. And then with that, any questions? Do you have any questions at all? About, yeah, could be about health, could be what's going on, could be anything that you feel like asking. Now, some people don't always feel like asking questions. So here we're going to go. Hi, Angel. I am just going to go into, actually, I want to further elaborate on, remember and if you don't, then it'll be something completely new. Remember I had this wax, honeybee wax thing where this here just acts as like a cover. I put my lemon in it, and it just folds around because it's very moldy, to whatever you want. And then you can put it over a bowl and thing. Remember this? Well, I found the piece of paper in the drawer about what it's about. So I'm going to post that link down. And it's like an Abby Go Explorer. It's got the name on here. A pedo. But you can wrap things with it. You can wash it easily, even in cold water, with eco-friendly dish soap. You can reuse it, so that's the nice thing about it. Keep washing, keep reusing it. It lasts a year or even longer with good care, so depending on how many times you use it and take care of it. Yeah, you can, at the end of life, it's biodegradable. I do know there's beeswax in here. So, and compostable, and it can be repurposed into garden ties, fire starters for campfire, BBQ, or wood stoves. So multi-purpose. So they come in different colors and different sizes in case you wanted to wrap a larger bowl or something like that. And what I did is, this is the size that it came in, like a rectangle like this, came in larger, but I actually cut it into smaller squares so I could wrap up like a lemon or an onion or something like that that was open, something little. And it really seals up quite nicely, especially you'd want that with your onion. So very, very nice. Good afternoon, Ferdinand. So that's that. That's a wrap. But I'm going to post the link below so you can go check it out and learn about it if you haven't heard about it. But it's yeah, it's a wrap. I'm just trying to see whether or not they have actually the name on here. If there was actually a name, like we talk about tissues. We've got Kleenex name over here, but actually some sort of a. But this is new, so. Good thing about new is that's what we're here. We're creating new things all the time. As the book Sapiens says, Everything's been created. The language was created, new words, slang, constant creating, which gets me into the COVID, created word, created. I almost want to say, don't get me started. But here's the deal. Uh, when it comes, if you can see this, okay, there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. And that is inclusive of your own growth, your own development, your own space that you want to kind of morph to the true, the center, the core of truly who we are. And I think that's most important when you realize and you become aware of it. You can't just not be aware of it anymore. So being aware of it, that's that whole awareness and being mindful of the scenarios. I was just on a call with iAwesome, the new academy, and it's clear that a lot of people feel alone, or they feel, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. What do they believe? Who are they needing to reach out to? Is this person going to help me? Is that person going to help me? There really is a lot of questions that possibly people don't know that they're asking, but they are asking. They are asking. And this is in the media, which I listen from a far distance. How do they know all these different strains of COVID when they discover one person has new strains of the virus? I sense there is caution for continual belief that vaccines are going to continue on, and keeping fear nervous and keeping similar distance restrictions. Yes, and then I'm going to talk about that, because one of the things that I wanted to bring up here, which I'm going to go in there, what I'm going to do here is just lay the groundwork. Ellen, I'm going to lay the groundwork, everybody, for kind of life. Okay? So quite often we can actually all agree that we have been put into a world of information, an abundance of information, every which way you turn. And this abundance of information clouds, it possibly could distract. Like, I can't tell you how many people read an article and they act upon it without thinking of the bigger picture. So the bigger picture is you have a life in a world in existence, and you're thinking about things the way you do. There is a reason why you think about anything the way you think about. There is. If we explore it, we may have to continue going back. But to be grounded here is we are here to experience life. We are here to grow. We are here to find our true nature, our inner nature. And I'm going to just add on to that. It's simpler and more uncomplicated than what it's being made out to be. And this is where the fears, the problems, I'm trying to think of the gentleman. It's going to come to my mind, but it's where you hear problem, reaction, and solution. Problem, reaction, and solution. And this kind of thing is, now in some cases people are trying to find the problem. They're analyzing what is the thing that people have a problem with, and then I'm going to provide them the solution. So this is even with the Academy in our conversation. We want to bring light and hit the thoughts, or try to bring people to the attention that this is what we are here to help with. And so there's that over there. What are the key problems? But should we feel alone? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Should we feel like we don't know enough? No, absolutely not. We shouldn't feel that way. Why are we feeling that way? And these are some really, really, really good questions. So to ground ourselves, we're here to experience. We're here to observe and witness people in our life, their experiences, to learn and grow. And those experiences, if we think about from childhood to now, are going to be a whole host of things that some you've just let go. Some you've just moved on from. Some you've held on to. Some you swear you're never going to forgive that person ever. The idea is whatever happens to us, we have feelings and emotions for the reasons we do, and how those feelings, what those feelings and emotions are, they tend to have like hooks, just like that CV thing, these hooks, these spikes, and they tend to just be there, and you can create new ones and more, and some have a bigger hook, a sharper hook in us than you can well imagine. So at times people are just how can they say it? They say in the rat race or on the hamster wheel with all of these things that kind of happened in the past. Do they really matter? No. Most of it's just in our head with the altered ego at the end of the day. So let's kind of just take a deep breath and get into a place of just feeling more calm, and just look at this a little bit. Like, I love using my analytical mind, and then I've got the creative mind over here, and I'm going to use both today. So the analytical mind tells me right from the get-go, well, I'll call it red flags, that another something comes out of the CHINA, right? Another something comes out of that country. It's like, what? That's impossible. So the logic says there's just no way a person can be asymptomatic and be a big problem. That made no sense to me at all. So illogical. It's like, what? No, I'm sorry. Even people who get sick, like food poisoning, don't give it to somebody else. So there's that idea too, as well. So I'm going to go through a little bit, because I think then I can post the video and you can watch it, and it gives you some more reference to it than what I'd have a chance to go through, because it's 30 minutes of full-on things. But she just says, yeah, masks don't work. This is a doctor, and she's also a surgeon, and you'll get her credentials when you watch the video. But the idea is, she knew something smelled, and she did her research. So while she had time, not working, time off at home sitting, what do researchers do? What do doctors do? What do academia do? Well, you go on and you read, and you seek to understand, and you learn, and you gain knowledge. And some of the things that she came up with might be a little bit, how can I say it? I wouldn't bring it up in the average audience, let's say. But here's somebody who knows a lot about science, and a lot about the body, and a lot about biology, all these kind of things. And she went and asked questions. I mean, this woman and I, Dr. Lee Merritt is her name. So you may have watched this video all before, but I'm gonna kind of put things together. So the idea is, she understands the tonocracy, the tonocracy that's actually happening here. And she calls this a bioweapon. And she said bioweapons have been being worked on for years. Well, think of Agent Orange as a bioweapon. And she feels that, I mean, to the point, I'm going to get right to it, because Aline brought it up here, of continuously changing this bioweapon. Now, when I say bioweapon, I mean, now we're changing the landscape of warfare, okay? And there may be a good reason why the warfare is coming in. If we have to ask the reason why, we might go to Switzerland, we might go to the Vatican, the Great Reset, as they talk about it. Trudeau talks about it. A lot of the world global leaders who are under this, how can I say it, closed book, just giving out orders, creating bylaws, just telling us what to do, when most people who have any questioning, and they're not under the hand of that, are actually finding and discovering, yes, masks don't work. The expert Chris Schaefer will tell you masks don't work. End of story. Distancing, well, that's a made-up thing. That's a made-up thing. But I'm sure going to keep my distance from a car. If a car's coming at from me, that will be helpful. Yes, that'll be helpful. You keep your distance in that respect. I mean, keeping distance is not a bad thing all the time. You know, crazy car coming at you. But in this case, this distancing, which they called, remember, she actually, Dr. Lee Merritt, mentioned about psyops, the psychological part of this operation to induce the fear, create the problem with bioweapons, but ongoingly can use the bioweapons. Why? Because they're not seen. They're invisible. And what better, I remember thinking this back in May, this thinking logically about it, what better thing to use than the common cold, than the family of coronaviruses or viruses in itself, because viruses are abundant on this planet and most of them are good. So do your research on that one. Even for the most people who have viruses, they're going to get better. You know, they're going to get better. And even just to bring light back to 99.991% of the people recover when it comes here. And she mentioned the flu, 99.992% recover from the flu. So the idea is, yes, numbers are there. Everything is there. It's right out front and center. Even the total death rates are not different from one year to the next. And in fact, I think last year was, or the year before, was a low flu year or something. And the doctor, if you've seen that video, I've posted it, I think he was chief medical director or something. And he says they have an abnormal low amount of flu. I think one influenza A, one influenza B, or whatever. I saw a number of 50. It was a very short video, but that's the thing. I mean, who's actually watching those press conferences? Most people are watching the mainstream media, thinking they're capturing everything and bringing everything in, when they're not bringing everything in. So here's Dr. Lee Merritt, who has, again, the big background, as I was saying. And she sees it as a weaponization of medicine. This, this whole biologics and bioweapons, the man-made virus, and it is coming clear to even her and to others that this came out of the lab. And I don't know how many months people were kind of bringing up, and people were going, no, 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 it had to be from an animal. In fact, they're still bringing that up into very credible people are still bringing this up in the narrative, in the discussions about this, in how it is driving the fear. But most people would be looking at these doctors as experts and specialists, and in some ways they have either towing the line, or they really truly believe that what's going on has every check mark believability to this, when I've never believed that. So what else did Dr. Merritt say? So she did talk about, you're going to listen to this rather than me actually talk to it, but this is different degrees of warfare, and she calls this 5.0. 5.0 is this warfare, and how this spike protein, she goes into how the mutations will happen, but not to fear what the mutations are. Primarily those mutations, usually what happens is it makes it more transferable, but less lethal. And that's how they kind of peter out. But she's feeling that these can continue to come. They're going to continue to come. And part of it is because they do have a product to sell, or a solution to sell. And in their minds, it is the injection. I'm going to call it an injection. Somebody else said, I did my research, and this is not your typical vaccine. A typical vaccine would be actually to get the isolated virus, to get them that particular, I'm going to go off my head here, to get that particular material, and to and I remember talking to another biochemist, this is years ago, when they transitioned more into synthetic from how they used to do it in big vats. So obviously it took up more space, and all the other things that comes with doing things naturally. So what they used to do is grow these pathogens and then kill these pathogens or weaken these pathogens, so it's not like giving you the actual measles or smallpox. I mean, smallpox keeps coming up as far as a scenario. I don't think measles is much of a problem, but I have to say it is, because we have what we have these days is vulnerable. A lot of vulnerable healthy, this is where we have to get to at the end of the day. And so I almost can't talk to this as in everybody's healthy anymore. So imagine a vaccine is that. It's a pathogen. It is grown. They've got the pathogen. They grow the pathogen. They weaken the pathogen, and then they put it in your system so that the immune system can create a lot of antibodies. Okay, that's simple. Now, in natural immunity, things happen the same way, but you don't get the chemicals, you don't get the preservatives, and immunity that way is coming at all different levels. So immunity just isn't in one area of the body. It's in your skin. It's in your gut. And how do you get something in the gut when you've injected into the body? Right. So logically, to me, there's a downside, but most of what happens is in the gut. It would, if you got a healthy gut, it wouldn't get into your bloodstream, which is a good thing. But do we actually want to, infect people with certain things? There's a little bit more thinking to the vaccines than I would say this is a done. So here we got something else. This, I'll call it a treatment. It's really a treatment. It's an injection of a synthetic, and they're telling it it's like it's this little spike. It's a little section of the protein of the spike, and apparently they know what that is. But apparently they haven't isolated the virus. So I'm not quite sure if this is a guessing game, and they have been playing with these injections for, I'm going to say 20 years, since the first SARS, and they've had no success. This is good to know. They've had no success, and they've done it on cats and I think ferrets, and they all die. Now, not from getting the injection, but when they go to check to see if they're immune, and they put in the pathogenic stuff, and I've heard this being said, the cytokine storm kind of happens, and this is not supposed to happen that way. So obviously they haven't figured it out. And in this particular case, with this injection, with this other SARS thing, then it's actually a piece of that protein, it's synthetic, and they feel that what's going to happen is, watch this video, short video, so this is how it works. It's going to multiply in every cell this particular mRNA, or an RNA piece of protein. Now, it almost seems like it could cascade with the immune system, as in to say it kind of is creating what we know happens today, autoimmune, right? So all of a sudden it's attacking your own body, and it has all of this. So to create all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden it's almost like you have a firecracker, right? You have a firecracker, and the firecracker is useless until you actually set it aflame and you light it. And by getting some sort of an infection, I'm going to say a pathogen, that's the spark that's going to light off what this vaccine is doing. Now I'm going to get a little dark here, because the bigger question is why. And if you watch that tribunal, a short clip where Dr. Young comes on and speaks, but you've heard it before. You've actually heard it many times. I'm saying Dr. Fauci. I'm not sure if Dr. Fauci. And I was almost going to say Dr. Gates, but no, that'd be a slip. and Mr. B. Gates, BG. So he's mentioned it. So this is not new to everybody about this population issue. And I've had people come in here and just off the cuff when we're talking about problems around the world, and they'll go, yeah, we have way too many people on this planet. And it makes me crazy, I have to say. There is no way we have too many people on this planet. Okay, if you've ever traveled across Canada, if you've ever traveled when you just see miles of fields and agriculture, and that's the issue, the commercial farming, when most, so much food goes to waste, and, what they're using it, biofuel and all this kind of stuff, when, we have certain things that are potentially, free energy. And there's electric cars and there's solar panels, all these things, and I don't have the solution for that. But the idea is it's around it's around control. And it seems that the agenda here is population control. As easy and simple as I can make it, it's around that. I mean, just the fact that the narrative is coming from just the average person, it's coming from the people who are pushing this injection, and now they call it the jab. I find that so hilarious. I'm sorry. The jab. Oh, you've got the jab. No, I'm not even entertaining making that one part of my vocabulary. So you've got this happening. You've got people verbally have admitted it, verbally has said it, and in this tribunal with Sasha Sohn is in there, and other people, a judge and everything. And I mean, it's so ridiculous, but yet, is it the simple truth? Is it the simple truth that they want to control the people on the planet? Sapiens, the book, as ridiculous as it is, and as many supposedly millions of people that have read this book say that they love this book is insane. And in fact, it just, how can I say it? It just proves, but right out and says, people are too stupid to figure it out. They're too stupid to figure it out. And that's the crux of the matter here, is that there's been so much programming, so many repeating words. We'll call that a different psyops, but it's just completely brainwashing people to believe certain things. That's as simple as it is. The truth of the matter is, if something is repeated enough times, you're going to believe it. If the masses believe it, or more people believe it than not, you're more likely to believe it because there's more people that believe it. So you can see how this just would expand. And of course, if we're talking about children in the mix, they believe what the adults believe, or that's at least what they're getting programmed to hear. So, and so in reality, it shows that how much they want to control. It's all around us. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to wear your seatbelt, you have to. Now, some people will argue, and I've argued with a friend police officer, got to wear your seatbelt. I said, no, I don't. Why do I have to wear my seatbelt? Well, you're going to get a fine, you're going to get, okay, I get that's the reason I have to wear my seatbelt, but to really need to wear my seatbelt, I think that should be a choice. And there's many things that have, how can I say it, happened in the light of safety, and it's almost like people can't, if you're not safe, then who is, if you walk out in the middle of the road, if you cross the street when you're not supposed to cross, you didn't look both ways, whose fault is it? What, we're going to have to put a cross guard at each corner so nobody ever walks out not paying attention? We know we can't control that. That is absolute. So we have to accept and also take responsibility. And I see people getting into this kind of accident, that kind of accident, but safety first, and to think about what you're doing. Do you have the right footwear on? Yeah, socks in a bathtub or trying to climb. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. There's so many examples. But what do they come in and do? They try to protect. They try to come up with solutions, and everybody's got to do it. And this is what the coroner, part of the coroner's job, having conversations with people like that. So we have to kind of get back to now and go, we have to take responsibility for our health. Our environment is very important. Our inner environment is very important. If you have health conditions, you're vulnerable. End of story. If you're stressed out and in fear, it makes you more vulnerable because of the way it impacts the physical body. So at this point in time, the solutions are many, but one of the key solutions is here. Besides communicating and connecting, staying peaceful, staying calm, having the conversations, is to take care of your physical health. Is to take care of our physical health. It's absolutely important. So hi sis. So you have Global Reset. Now, yes, so Lee Merritt interview, very well. I did kind of search it, and there it is. Thanks, Ferdinand. So Dr. Lee does a great job, but she goes into what I'll call the dark side of all of us, if we want to accept that, where people will lie and cheat and make shit up in order to sell you their solutions or control you, make you do what they want you to do, experiment on you, because to me this is an experiment. But she says many things, but there are treatments that exist. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine. In fact, she mentioned on there, which I thought was interesting, that 2 manufacturing plants caught fire. And I don't know if they were completely destroyed or whatever, but fire's a fire. It definitely going to put a dent in business how they do it. And they said, well, no, it wasn't hydrochloroquine, but apparently it was the precursor. So they're not lying, but they're lying. The precursors to making that medicine. So the idea is we have treatments. And actually, there was another one that came up that I'm going to post down below. Oh, I have it on my other. I have 2 things open because tonight at 8 p.m. I'm talking to the Forest Hill Walk Club, a group, whoever wants to come on, and I'm going to kind of go through a little bit more of a, I'm going to see where everybody is at it and what questions they have, and then address some of the things I'm saying here today, but address masks and isolation and stuff like that. But the idea is there is treatments, and there was something else that came out of Quebec recently. I think Ferdinand, you probably might have seen that in link Sylvain Henry with his very informative and getting together more regular now in the evenings Zoom call. So it's an awesome way to get. So I click on the links. His emails are very informative, and I clicked on the link to see what it was about, and it was a particular drug treatment that can be given. So I mean, if you think about, first thing is take responsibility for your house. Second thing is, in this whole plan, is to actually know that there's a treatment. If there are treatments, then there should not be, according to free will or the Great Barrington Declaration, that they need to actually make you take the injection, right? The injection. And there's many more things to talk about, of course. Let me see what else she kind of brings up. I'm just trying to go by top of mind. But she comes up with, vaccines, $69 billion, industry, that kind of thing. So the idea is, I can't get across enough. I've said this before. Viruses are all around us. They are all around us. And what they found, I think it was Indonesia, but I posted these before, is vitamin D levels. So when they explored the people who got really sick, and maybe they did on the diet, I'm not sure, but let's say the people who got really sick, they were very low on vitamin D. So vitamin D is not necessarily a vitamin, it's a non-steroidal hormone, and it has a multitude of benefits to our body, not just building your bones, supporting immune system. It's part of your communication system. So I know this, he's on the spectrum and he's a biochemist, and he describes as this. If you look at the wiring in your body as the nervous system. So the wiring of your body, the nervous system. Then what's going to communicate out of the ends of the wiring is where vitamin D comes in. So it would be sending out signals to the various cells, I'll just keep it as cells. Then you've got a feedback loop that's happening in your body. If you hit yourself, whatever, vitamin A is the catcher's mitt that will catch these signals and send it back through the nervous system to our control tower up here, our brain. And voila, you have this feedback loop. So in some cases, we are actually calling things vitamins when they're not, and certain nutrients and giving them names. Again, everything's made up, got to give them a name. But what they do and their uniqueness and their benefits is so, it's just to understand that. Now, vitamin A and vitamin D are fat solubles. Vitamin D even different. You need cholesterol to produce it from the sun. And I have explained many times that in order to produce vitamin D, well, you have to have, the sunshine on your skin. You can't be washing yourself down, especially those areas that are being exposed to the sunlight. Your eyes are very good in this too. So this is why I don't believe in sunglasses, except if I'm skiing with the bright snow in the water. But the sunglasses would interfere with that. So vitamin D is being produced through our membranes, our outer membranes. Let's look at it that way. But you need cholesterol. So the lower range that they have now for cholesterol and just prevention, giving cholesterol meds, get off of them. Cholesterol is so beneficial for your body, not just vitamin D, but for other things in the body. It's in your brain as well. So when vitamin D comes in and vitamin A and nervous system and all of that comes into play, it's this unity. You know how we talk about unity within people? Well, there's a unity going on within your body as well, and this is vitally important. So when I hear people talking about vitamin D, I think of vitamin A at the same time, but I also think of the omegas. Or any healthy raw oil. So I happen to use the raw seal oil. While I'm here, just heard from a neighbor, and actually we're just walking outside, and I was part of this neuropathy. So if you haven't, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but his partner has been taking, he's got a lot of neuropathy, and the doctor across the street, who I know very well, and introduced it to her, he has in his feet, has improved a lot in his neuropathy. Neuropathy is nerve damage. It happens diabetic, is extremities, where numbness and pain, tingling, all of those. It was very painful, especially to walk on. But you get this numbness and things, very not good, because you may not feel yourself cut yourself. You feel that cut. But neuropathy, so a huge improvement. So omegas, or health, that's your nervous system. Your nervous system is dependent upon these essential fatty acids that help the signals to go down. So the wiring isn't just one wire from the brain to everywhere. It's like a group of neurons, a group of nerve cells that will communicate through each other. It's amazing on one hand, because if there's a break in it, you can do they have neuroplasticity, which is you can grow other ones and go around and bypass and do all these beautiful things. If you think that's potentially possible, well, it is possible. They've shown it. Absolutely. So the defense things is what Lee talks about. Yes, that's the first thing, is to support your body. But that's also going to include rest and proper sleep, avoiding stimulants like coffee and processed food. I mean, there's a whole, it's not too complicated, but at the end of the day, many people will have 12, 15 supplements that they're taking. Should they be taking all? I don't know, it depends. It depends. You have to assess these things, preferably. So, yeah, depopulation agenda absolutely seems like it's the plan, no question about it, but that's not the greater. So we can probably assume that this is a game and a plan, and there may be other things at play here. And depopulation is something that you can't even say it's not real because they say it out front and center. When I say they, people like BG and other people say it. And other people who are just like the person who came in here and fixed my fridge, he says it. Yeah, we got too many people on the planet. We've got to depopulate, so this is good. And other people will say, well, and I've heard them say it, and to me it's a bit of a brainwash, but I've heard them say it, well, this will just get rid of, cull the people that, that aren't well. And I don't know about you, but when I hear that kind of stuff, I don't even think long-term care facilities actually work. I really believe that that's not the solution to put people in them, and I hope that changes for more and more people. I mean, I've heard people try to get their parents out during this last year. They successfully did it, but they had to go through loopholes, and they had to understand if you take them out, they're not coming back. They're not coming back. What it's, you lose your spot. I'd say, yes, sayonara, I am gone. Good riddance. When people say that, it's like, oh, you're doing me a favor, basically. So it's great to hear some of that is. But here's, I'm just going to Lee, Dr. Lee, I'll just call her Lee, is, she gives some interesting things here. And it's not like you haven't heard it before. So turn off your TV. I hear people saying that. Take off your masks. Open your business. Hug your family. Visit, if you haven't already, your old relatives, the elderly, the people that you've been distancing from because of this scenario, unless you're not healthy, of course, and throw a party. I mean, she says these things, and it's great. And she definitely gives a number of websites which I haven't gone on to yet, but I'm going to check them out. But people like Dolores Cahill, there's so many people. There's this travel initiative now to actually arrange with flights and planes, because they're grounded basically, of flights that are going to go from certain places, from this place to this place. You get enough people booking them, and then it can be arranged, and we're traveling mask free, traveling test free, something like that. Anyway, crazy stuff. So the idea is raise your vibration. This is time to let go and to release more and more every day. Whatever you have to release, just is it worth it? Is it going to is it making you feel good? And if it isn't making you feel good, you don't really need it anymore. I mean, how to go through all of that's going to be different for everyone. Absolutely, clearly. Some people can just do it on their own. I'm not the first one to say, oh, you've got to go to a doctor, you've got to go practice. People can do things on their own. It is not not possible. It absolutely is possible. At times, though, what I've sensed over the last several years is people have a lot of questions, specifically around health and how do things work. And the questions are great, but they do have a lot of questions. And if you don't have enough understanding or knowledge about certain things, and you've got these questions, and you're just going to be doing things because this person says, you think this person's right, you think that person. The better thing is to get really grounded. And the stages of disease, which I have talked about in many a presentation and put in my book, is one of the things that's going to give everybody it's a piece of knowledge that comes from a doctor 100 years ago. And I'm sure other doctors came up with it because it's completely logical. The stages of disease happens. And yes, stress is right there. And nutritional deficiencies is right there. And buildup of toxicity is right there. These things come uniquely to everybody and why you have them. But just to understand that would give you a leg up in a medical paradigm, which I hear they don't take the oath to the oath to protect people anymore. That's an I'd love to see or hear from a doctor to say, no, I don't take the Hippocratic Oath anymore. That would be interesting to say that. So there you go. I think I'm just going to read a couple jokes, and then I'm going to play the harmonica just for 30 seconds, something like that, just to lighten up. That's the thing about Sylvan Henry's calls, is he likes to have, he has some very talented people in music, in singing and things like that, and they play and they sing songs and things like that. And I decided that it didn't seem like there was anything planned this one meeting, so I just started playing. Why not? Right? Just why not? It's not something, I mean, I know how to read music. I know how to read music, but not for the harmonica. So we'll do that. So let's just see what jokes there are. Enough about that. Enough about this. And because we do have to get on to our happy life at the end of the day with all the wonderful things we can do. All right, so let's just see. I haven't read these on before, so let's see what we go. A couple here, a few. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? What's the difference? Oh, thanks, Ferdinand, for that link on Freedom Airway. That's the Dolores Cahill to do with travel. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo? A hippo is really heavy, and a zippo is a little lighter. Zippo, zippo. There you go. Okay. Milk is the fastest liquid on Earth. Milk is the fastest liquid on Earth. It's pasteurized before you even see it. Not mine, though. Mine is raw. But it's pasteurized before you see it. Okay, that's a good one. Have you ever heard of a music group called Cellophane? Have you ever heard of a music group called Cellophane? They mostly rap. There you go. Okay, that's enough for today of that one. So just play a little bit of harmonica, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of the manifesting story on this very quickly. I have 3 manifesting stories, and I've talked about the turkey in the park one, and I love that title because it's like, what? I mean, nobody can say that. You know what? Turkey in the park, turkey in a bag, frozen turkey in the park, sitting in the middle of the park. But the harmonica story is, my grandmother played harmonica. Apparently my grandfather on my mother's side did. So my grandmother and my father said, and I just decided one day, so if you heard my turkey story, I just decided one day, I'm going to get a harmonica. I just declared it. And I was, I remember this, it was my niece getting married, and I had to pick up from camp my daughter, and her good friend, who's from North Carolina, was up, and my daughter had eczema, probably eating a lot of crap, and there's a bit of stress at the camp, you know, just people, girls, things, and so she had this eczema, and I didn't know she wanted to go see her friend, and I said, why don't we just go for 5 minutes? Anyway, they ended up playing hide and seek in the dark, and I ended up staying for dinner, and the father of, not the girl, but the son, a bit of family up here, so that's how they're back up here visiting, puts this case down on my lap. Now, he's a musician. He sings. He's a musician. He's got some albums, and so is his girlfriend. So it's not unheard of that he's going to have some instruments. So he sits his case down. I'm sitting there. I'm waiting for my daughter to come down. We're leaving, and I open it up, and it's like several harmonicas. And I said, wow, I was just thinking about getting one. He says, well, if I have a double, one is yours. And I said, oh, I didn't say anything. I'm like a little bit going, whoa, this is manifesting thing is really cool. So this is the one he had a double of. And I'm like walking home. It's like a little surreal feeling. That's it. Say it without any doubt, no expectations. And I showed my husband. I said, look, I wanted a harmonica. He had proof because I was the one who told him I got my harmonica. So it's just, just, but again, certain things at that time I was questioning, what is manifesting? How does it work? And, so we're questioning, right? how to do. So this is really the only one kind of little tune or song, and I've been playing with it lately that, yeah, that I just kind of made up and then I can just play on the whim. So we'll play a little bit, but I think it's a really cool instrument. I have to say that it's a really cool instrument. So let's just see here. Anyway, a little bit. So there you go. Have fun with some dancing music, play other music, dance. It's a great way to I just get so relaxed when I do it. It's just so fun. It's like all this vibrations. Anyway, I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful night. And in some ways, you know what you need to do. Take care. Until next Live at 5, who knows when that is, but it's absolutely every Monday. And if it's going to be any time of the day, it's going to be live at 5. So take care. Keep connected and stay calm. Bye for now.